Hello and welcome back to the One United podcast. I'm joined as ever by Henry. Henry, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. You?
Yeah, I'm good. Not bad. Nice to have a break from United frustrating us all the time. And we're delighted to be joined again by Waz. Waz making another appearance on the channel. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. It's been a long weekend, hasn't it, without Premier League football?
Definitely. Now, as we mentioned, still international break, so there's not a lot of United-based stuff we could talk about. So we thought we'd just have a little bit of fun today. Talk about our all-time Premier League 11s. So we're gonna pick a combined 11. We'll debate each position between us to pick our sort of ultimate 11, and we want everyone watching to get involved in the comments as well. Give us your suggestions, and we'll take those on board and incorporate them into our teams. So yeah, I think without any further ado, we'll get straight into it. So we're going to go with a 4-3-3 formation, I believe, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, where better place to start than goalkeeper? So, Henry, who's your goalkeeper and why should we pick him?
Peter Schmeichel. What else can you say about the guy? He's one of the best there's ever been, not just in the Premier League, one of the best there's ever been and ever will be. So I don't think, personally, I can't look any further than him in terms of Premier League. So, yeah, pretty simple.
Fair enough. Waz, you got any additions onto that, or do you have a different suggestion, or what?
I've actually got different suggestions. Sorry, especially with my age, because I didn't see Schmeichel throughout his career. But I went with Petr Cech. Prime Petr Cech in 2005 is probably the best keeper I've pretty much ever seen, and I think he held the all-time clean sheet record with 24 in 2005. And it's got the Premier League record as well with 202 clean sheets. So that takes some beating.
See, Waz came prepared with stats. Now, I'm going to have to agree with Waz here. I think as painful as it is, we have had some incredible goalkeepers over the time, but I don't think you can look past Petr Cech, really, can you? I think, he's won league titles. He's won the Champions League. Like you say, he's got the record for clean sheets. He's also got the record for least amount of goals conceded in a season. I just think, in terms of Premier League dominance from a goalkeeper, I don't think you can look past Petr Cech. Just quick shout out to Alan who's watching. Hello, Alan. How you doing? But yeah, back on subject. Henry, it's 2-1. I don't think you can really argue. I think we're going to have to go with Petr Cech unless.
I mean, I could argue all day long, but I'm not going to. So,
well, go on then. Let's make it interesting.
I'm just thinking purely because of the era that United were in when. We're up against some sides that were probably more competitive, you'd argue, at times. I mean, Chelsea, most of Cech's years, I would assume some of his best years were under Mourinho when, they were obviously defensively sound. So, personally, reaction saves and just sheer quality throughout his whole career. This is why we had the debate about him and De Gea, and I will always back Schmeichel over De Gea purely because of the amount of trophies that he won at United and how good he was consistently. Whereas I think towards the end of Cech's Premier League career, he started making mistakes and tailing off a little bit. In terms of overall consistency, I think Schmeichel just takes it.
Well, you say about longevity. I mean, Schmeichel went from United to, I believe, Aston Villa and then Manchester City. I think as soon as he left United, he scored a goal for Aston Villa, but apart from that, he never really did anything that notable.
People were never calling for his head. That's what I'll say. And towards the end of Cech's career, even at Arsenal and even at times at Chelsea, people were calling for his head because he was making more mistakes than I think we've seen, especially from him, a goalkeeper of his quality. You wouldn't expect it, but Schmeichel, no one ever called for his head because he was just that good. You can't.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think one thing that does go in Cech's favour though towards the end of his career was there was a 2-year period where he did keep Courtois out of the team as well. Now Courtois from an early age was widely touted as an incredible goalkeeper, and for Cech in his sort of early to mid 30s to keep one of the best goalkeeping prospects in the world out of the team, I think that deserves some credit as well. But are we? Well, you're not going to be happy, but are we sort of happy to go with Cech there, Henry?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
2-1. So we'll get the lineup up of how it's going so far. So far we've got Cech in goal, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more to say. So right back. Now we're talking beforehand about right back. I'm pretty stumped, so I'll let you go first, Henry. Who you throwing into the ring?
Dennis Irwin. How can you look any further than that? The only other players that I can really think of, I mean, I can't, to be fair. No. I mean, there's, I don't know. I couldn't go with anyone else in terms of longevity at United, and again, trophies measure a player at the end of the day. They do, and he was regarded as the best ever right back at United. So I don't think you can look any further than him, and no one else in other clubs was able to compete with the level that they were playing at for a consistent amount of time. So
the only problem I have with Dennis Irwin was I'm almost 90%, well, 99% sure he played left back for United his whole career.
Well, I looked up and he did play right back. I know he played left back, but he did play right back, and I've switched him there purely because of the lack of options.
Oh yeah. We were saying before the show, as much as we appreciate Gary Neville for what he's done, we can't put him in on pure ability because
not good enough. So and who else are you going to go for? I don't know. I'm thinking in terms of dominance as a player. I mean, I know the Invincibles won a Premier League season, but that was one season, and they got to the Champions League final, but they didn't really do anything else, did they? Other than that, they were kind of. I know they were the Invincibles, but they weren't really that fantastic. United were still level on par with them, even at that stage. So, and then you're looking at Gary Neville, and to be honest, Chelsea never really had anyone. City were just irrelevant before like 2012. So, I don't know. Who else could you go for?
Fair enough. Was you got any sort of improvements on that?
I'm the same with Henry. I've gone with Dennis Irwin. I think with Dennis Irwin, he doesn't get his juice. I think with this new generation of kids, they don't really know how good Dennis Irwin was. Obviously, with me, I'm slightly young as well, so I had to go do my research and watch him. His consistency was absolutely fantastic. He could play left back, but he could also play right back. He's that good that he's right-footed and he could play left back. You don't even see that in the modern era now because everyone needs to be on the natural foot. And with Dennis Irwin, he could score free kicks. I think he scored 22 goals in the Premier League. Just all round consistent. And even like Roy Keane was always shouting his name, saying how good Dennis Irwin was. It's just that because he's not in the media like Gary Neville, not on TV, they just slide on the side. Same with like Van Nistelrooy, someone, they're just not in your mind because they're not on TV and so on. But yeah, Dennis Irwin for me. I would give a shout out to Zabaleta. I thought Zabaleta was solid in that Manchester City period when they were dominant, winning league titles. But obviously, longevity, he hasn't got it. And so Azpilicueta as well, he's been fairly solid. But overall, I think it's Irwin's to take.
Yeah, I think honourable mentions there for Zabaleta and Azpilicueta. I think Azpilicueta more because as many titles as Zabaleta won, I never classed him as a incredible player. Do you know what I mean? I never thought he was a big part of this.
He went to West Ham and he got ripped apart by everyone. So that's what puts it down on his career in the Premier League.
But I think, as painful as it is to say, the way it's going, I think it won't be long before Trent is considered the best best right back of all time in the Premier League. I give it maybe 5 years. The way he's going,
he's the best right back. Sorry,
defensively.
Well, that's the thing. He's young, so he can still improve defensively. But he's probably the best, at least one of the best attacking right backs the league's ever seen. The numbers speak for themselves, don't they?
Well, the number of crosses speak for themselves, and I think he has like a 27% cross accuracy. So I think those numbers. I think people completely misunderstand what actually happens with that Liverpool side. Yes, Trent and Robert get a lot of assists, but at the end of the day, they do whip about 9,000 crosses in a day. So one of them is bound to go into the net. I think it's pure quantity over quality with them, and people misunderstand it. Yeah, he's a good attacking fullback, but I kind of want a little bit more security going the other way as well. Yeah. And I mean, against anyone, against Sterling, he didn't fill me with, enjoyment. He was just kind of like getting turned inside out. So Yeah, I mean, I unless he improves massively defensively and then has a spell of like 7 or 8 years in the Premier League of pure quality, I won't be able to see it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we'll bring the lineup back up. We've now added Irwin into right back. Anyone opposed to that? Leave it in the comments, and we'll discuss it. But moving on to centre backs, we'll go right side of centre back first. Henry, what's your
I've gone for John Terry. Interesting.
Ooh.
And this and there's one reason for this, and that is purely leadership. I think I've gone for another player as well, but that's due to leadership. But we'll go on to that in a minute. Leadership is a massive quality. He was a fantastic player, consistent throughout his career, although lost a bit of pace towards the end, which is understandable when you're getting older. But at the same time, still good. Still look out of place in the Chelsea side. So I don't think you can, look any further than someone of that quality.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Was anything to sort of add?
With John Terry, I think because of his like personal things that he's gone through, I think people try to put it down on him. But as a footballer, he was amazing. Let's be honest, he was different. He could, and even his left foot was so underrated because he used to play like left centre back. He could ping it right wing with his left foot. I think John Terry is a top shout. He's not in my defense because there was so much to choose from, but he's definitely credible.
Well, let's go on. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I've gone with Rio as my right centre back.
Fair enough. Well, now that you're saying that, then we'll sort of do both centre backs at the same time. We'll have a discussion about sort of what options there are because we have been blessed with some incredible centre backs, haven't we, in the Premier League? Rio Ferdinand and John Terry go without saying. You got Nemanja Vidic. I think
Adams, Campbell.
Yeah, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell. I think even Kolo Touré's in there with a shout with what he did in the Invincible season. Company, Ricardo Carvalho, Virgil van Dijk's got to be in there with a shout. As painful as it is to say, you can't deny he's a sublime centre back, and I think he has revolutionised the way that centre backs play in a way. But yeah, well, what's your centre back pairing then, Henry?
And this is interesting because Waz just mentioned him, and I'm playing him a little bit out of position. But I don't think in terms of sheer quantity of trophies and quality consistently. We describe Van Dijk as the new Rio Ferdinand. That's how good Rio Ferdinand was. That's what we describe him as the guy that's dominant but can play some fantastic passes with his feet, is always comfortable on the ball. So I've gone for one who's a little bit more of a stopper and one who's a little bit more technical. So I've gone for Terry and Ferdinand. Also, I think people underestimate how good they were for England at times. Both of these players, they can consistently do it on an international level as well. We've seen with other players that they can do it in the Prem, but then they struggle internationally. But that wasn't the case with these two. So I've gone for it. I'm playing Ferdinand slightly out of position because I know he was a right centre half, but at the same time, I just don't think you can leave either of them out of that side. And I know people will have a go because Sol Campbell was probably one of the best we've ever seen. But again, longevity, quality, trophies. You can't look any further than those two, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think Sol Campbell's sort of on the same level at all as Ferdinand and Terry. I think they're both levels ahead. I think full credit to Campbell for what he did for Arsenal and even Spurs as well. But John Terry and Rio Ferdinand are different levels. Who are you going for as sort of a two?
Yeah, I've gone with Rio and Vidic. John Terry, unfortunate to miss out. It was between Vidic and John Terry because they've got similar styles of play where they're all action, head it, even bring the ball out sometimes. But yeah, it was close on between Vidic and John Terry. But because of the partnership with Rio and Vidic, you know what you're getting. They complement each other, and yeah, so I had to go with them too.
Fair enough. I'm gonna agree with Henry. Amazingly, I know we don't agree on too much, but I'm gonna have to agree. I think you can't not put Terry in there. His longevity, is the records he holds. He's a big part of the reason why Czech has so many clean sheets, and he just seemed to do it no matter who his partner was. Ricardo. He made Gary Cahill look like a world-class centre back at one point. That's how good he was. And I think Rio Ferdinand just edges out Nemanja Vidic. Just I think Rio Ferdinand was more well-rounded. I think, like you said, Vidic was an out-and-out stopper. I think his pace let him down at times, but his strength and aerial ability and ability to read the game made him incredible. Whereas Rio Ferdinand had absolutely everything. But proper honourable mention to Nemanja Vidic, and I think it was also close for me with Van Dijk. I think the only reason he's not in there is because of his lack of longevity. He's still in the prime of his career, whereas we've seen what these guys have done over 10, 15 years. So, if we come back in 5 years' time, I think there's a strong chance Van Dijk's going to be in there over one of them, but not right now. So, yeah.
I think one thing that's good or bad about Terry is that if you're a centre back partner, he might shag your wife. But that's
Fair enough.
That's about it.
Well, did anyone have Wayne Bridge as a left back?
Absolutely not. That guy was toss.
So just for reference, then we'll get the starting 11 back up. So we've now got Cech, Irwin, Terry, and Ferdinand. Everyone happy with that?
Yes.
So far, in the comments, let us know if you disagree at all. Give us your sort of selections, and we'll move on to left back. So Henry, we'll keep the order going. Who are you going for at left back?
I've gone for a very controversial one, actually, which people might not like. I've gone for Leighton Baines. This is a very odd choice. And I'll give you my reason why, okay? We talk about longevity. This guy dedicated his career to Everton. And to be fair, he was the one person, and this is why I picked him, the one person when Everton played that everyone would always talk about because he was a set-piece magician. I don't think people understand. People that haven't seen him play that much will not understand how good he was at set pieces. If you're a defender defending against that left foot, you shit yourself. That's the reality of it. So, and I've gone with him. I know it's a very weird decision. You guys probably won't agree, but I've gone for it purely because of longevity. I know he didn't win a lot of trophies, but this is the one player in my team that didn't win a load of trophies, but I thought could have played at a higher level and probably should have.
Fair enough. I know it was always someone that United wanted, wasn't he? And I think at the time I was very excited at the prospect of seeing him. But like you say, very controversial shout. Are you somehow agreeing with him, or have you got a different suggestion?
I'm not gonna belittle Leighton Baines because he was a fine Premier League player, especially with that left foot. Beautiful. The way he crossed the ball in and his set pieces, and I'm sure he banged a few free kicks in as well. He's definitely an honourable mention. But this is my easiest pick out of my whole 11. It was Ashley Cole. For me, with Ashley Cole, you just you can't compete with him. He's number one. The titles he's won, the consistency he's shown. For England, he was the only one that replicated his club form to national. So yeah, Ashley Cole. It's just it was an easy decision for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think full credit to Leighton Baines. He's probably one of the best goal-scoring left-backs we've seen in the Premier League. His free kick record and penalty record speak for himself. But in terms of being world-class, I think, besides sort of Dennis Irwin, we've only seen one true world-class left-back in the Premier League, and I think that was Ashley Cole. I think...
Yeah.
I can't look past him. He's like Terry. He's a proper scumbag, but you can't let that affect you.
I think for me, and this is one thing that I'll go on. I know I've seen, I'm a United fan, so I've seen clips of Irwin and stuff. I didn't watch Cole in the early stage of his career, and that was when I've heard that he was the best. I didn't watch him enough in the early stage of his career to say. I know he's fantastic for Arsenal. Everyone always says, in terms of the best left backs they've ever had, they've had some left backs that have played for them for like 15, 20 years, and Cole still gets in over them. But yeah, I just couldn't because I didn't know him that much at the start of his career, and obviously, a massive part of winning trophies. But yeah, that's the only reason I didn't go for him.
Any honourable mentions then? I think I'm going to throw forward Patrice Evra and maybe Lee Dixon because although I didn't watch him, I've heard he was a good player. Although he does do me head in on FIFA, he's a horrendous commentator. But any other honourable mentions from you two?
No, I think Evra's a good shout. Yeah.
I think his longevity and his pure sort of winning power that he had when he was at United speaks for itself. But yeah, we'll bring the lineup back up then just as a reminder. So Cech, Irwin, Terry, Ferdinand, and now Ashley Cole left back. Everyone happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I say it again, if you in the comments, if you've got any suggestions or anything, then do drop them. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, we'll move on. So next position is sort of a holding midfielder role. Now, there's a lot of, we were talking about this before, weren't we? There's a lot of central midfielders that we could choose for. I know Henry wanted to go for a diamond formation because there's just too many, but we've got to whittle it down to 3. So, Henry, who's your holding midfielder?
I've had to leave someone out, which was painful for me to do, and this is going to cause a lot of a stir. I've had to leave Vieira out, and this is why. Okay, I've gone with an interesting 3, and this is someone that I think was described not only by United fans but by opposing fans as the best passer of the ball they've ever seen. The one player that I think it was Xavi mentioned he ever wanted to play with was Paul Scholes. I don't think you can go look any further. I know he wasn't fantastic with tackling and whatever, but if you have him holding, spraying passes, you ain't going to get the ball off him. So, my plan for the 11 is 90% possession and just starve the other team with the ball.
Pray to God that you don't lose the ball and they throw any sort of counter because you'd be absolutely useless with Paul Scholes in front of that defence.
It's Scholes. It's Scholes.
Fair enough. Paul Scholes is a holding midfielder that can be clipped and used in future. Now, Waz, who are you having as your sort of central defensive midfielder?
I particularly really went with a 4-2-3-1, but if I was to put someone there, I'd put Vieira because I picked Vieira in my team. He won 3 league titles with Arsenal. He was a Rolls Royce of a midfielder, very underrated. I think he won 5 FA Cups as well. And yeah, he just had it all. I think with the rest of my midfield, I think how they complement each other. That's why I picked Vieira because of the balance.
Fair enough. I'm going to have to agree with Waz. I'm going to have to go with Vieira. I think you can't have an all-time Premier League 11 without having him as a holding midfielder. I think
the other two that I've picked, you guys are gonna you're gonna have to leave one of these 3 out, and someone is gonna get really pissed off that you've left one of these 3 out.
Oh yeah, someone's
and
going.
You know who I'm thinking of right now, and it's gonna be a difficult decision.
But before we go on to those 2 more sort of attacking midfielders, do we have any honourable mentions? I'll throw one into the mix, and I'll go with Claude Makelele. I think if he'd have been in the Premier League longer, he'd have definitely been in and around that Vieira territory. But he redefined that role, didn't he? To when Chelsea were in their peak.
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane,
not a fantastic player. I've obviously spoken to my dad about him. We watched him throughout his whole career, and he was never an amazing player, but he would kick the shit out of you if you went past him, and also a voice. Would always back his teammates, and was largely a reason why we won so many trophies when we did.
See, I think Roy Keane is exactly what Jordan Henderson wants to be. Now, Roy Keane was never exceptional at anything, but he was good. At the very least, he was good at everything. He could tackle, he could pass, he had a decent goal scoring rate as well. But just his leadership alone, he was his influence in the dressing room. I think it's probably even higher than Eric Cantona's, and we hear so much about how much he did behind the scenes. But it's like Jordan Henderson. He's not amazing, but his leadership is what sets him apart, and he has that much of an impact on the Liverpool team. But I think Roy Keane is a big honourable mention. I was sort of umming and ahhing as to whether to put him as one of the centre midfielders, but I think I've made my decision. But any other sort of honourable mentions for a holding midfielder?
Michael Butler.
Yeah,
that's one thing that one player that I've always thought was just so underrated in that Chelsea side. So underrated. Every time I watched him, I thought, this guy, he's got everything, but no one talks about him. But I couldn't understand why. So, yeah, I don't think you can leave him out of honourable mentions.
So is that Michael Essien? Sorry, you cut out on mine as you were speaking.
Ballack.
Michael Ballack, yes, fair enough. I forgot all about him, to be fair. But so we'll add Vieira into the CDM role, and then we'll move forward. So just to give you a sort of update, we're back with the team sheet. So Cech, Irwin, Terry, Ferdinand, Cole, Vieira. Again, if you disagree with Vieira, let us know. We'd love to hear what you think. But without any further ado, let's move forward to the other midfielders. So, Henry, who's your sort of midfield pairing in front of him?
Well, now I'm stuffed because these three are the best three I can't pick from. Like, I can't pick two out of these three. This is rough. I'll tell you what, you guys say, and I will put up a strong argument to see what, because I want to see which two you guys are going to go for first. Because it's
fair enough. Waz, I'll let you go.
I picked a 4-2-3-1, but because we're doing a 4-3-3, I can still manipulate like the players and change the position. But with in front of Vieira, I've got Beckham and Scholes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Big shout. You're gonna have to defend that shout. Go ahead. Why are you putting those two in?
With Scholes, how he dictate a game, his passing and moving, dictate a whole game. You've got the physicality of Vieira alongside him, so he's comfortable there. And with David Beckham, I know that's going to be the point where everyone just complains a bit. But with Beckham, he won six Premier Leagues, he won 2 cups, and in 1999 he finished second in the Ballon d'Or behind Rivaldo. He really should have won it because he won the treble. He didn't win it because he wasn't a fancy Brazilian. And yeah, Beckham's incredibly underrated. Imagine him now in that De Bruyne position, right of a midfield 3. See De Bruyne putting those crosses in. That's suited for Beckham. You don't have to run on the right wing. Just get out your feet and he'll play the balls all day long. I think Beckham is incredibly underrated because of his off the field stuff with all Victoria Beckham and that, and his profile there. But yeah, Beckham for me.
Fair enough. That's someone I didn't even consider for midfield. Yeah, I think Beckham to overcome the adversity he faced in '98 as well after the World Cup, to come back and a year later turn up second in the Ballon d'Or deserves a lot of credit. But I'm properly stumped for these midfield two. I think there's that many quality shouts. You've got Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard are up there without saying. I think Yaya Toure could be in there as a centre midfielder, and especially as an attacking threat or even an all-round player. I think there weren't many better than him. I think Michael Essien, like I say, Michael Ballack as well. We've had Michael Carrick's in there with a shout. I know you tweeted about him earlier, I think he's 100% underrated, but it's difficult. I'm going to put Lampard in there. I think there's the stick that's used to beat Scholes with is often is actual goals and assists. Well, I think if you talk in terms of goals and assists, you can't look any further than Lampard. All-time highest scoring midfielder.
The top scorer from centre mid.
Yeah, exactly.
That is unbelievable. And this is why I literally had to leave Vieira out. This is why, genuinely.
Fair enough. Then there's the decision has to be made, because Scholes is, I think he's pretty clear in my estimations as my favourite United player ever, because just the class he had on the ball for a tiny little ginger man to have that source on a football pitch it should be illegal. He redefined how we see ginger people in general, and I think that deserves some credit as well. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's very hard. I think Kevin De Bruyne needs to be in there with a shout.
A shout, but not yet. Not enough.
He's like
a Van Dijk.
If he signs a new deal at City in like 3 or 4 years' time, he's still at the level he is now.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll be able to leave him out, to be fair, because his stats are ridiculous. But not at the moment. But this is rough, man. This is rough.
So I've got Lampard secured in, and then so who to play alongside Vieira and Lampard is a difficult one, because as much as it pains me to say it, Gerrard was an incredible player as well, wasn't he?
Definitely.
He was, the definition of a big game player. He turned up when Liverpool needed it most.
And he was playing until his almost his mid-30s in that Liverpool side.
Yeah, and to drag that 2005 or what it was, that Liverpool side to Champions League title deserves some credit as well, because that was horrendous. That side, I think, it's one of the worst Premier League, one of the worst Champions League winning teams. I think an underrated shout would be Xabi Alonso, although he just wasn't in there long enough to really.
Same with Beckham for me. It just wasn't. Yeah. He left in his prime years of his career, so he's kind of like if he would have stayed another few years, fantastic. But he saw the limelight and he just pissed off. So, I mean, that's the only reason I can't look at him and think longevity. I know quality was there, but other centre mids were just as good, if not better, over a period of time. And stats wise, again, I mean, Lampard is, and people won't like me saying this, Lampard is streets ahead in terms of stats, and so it pains me to say it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't. It's
I think I'm going to go with midfield three of Vieira, Lampard, and Scholes. Then I think just my personal bias towards Scholes has got him in ahead of Gerrard. But Henry, you were going to wait until everyone's said their piece. So what are you going with?
So I was originally going to go with a three of Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard. I was, and purely because just sheer longevity and quality, and no one had a bad word to say about any of those three players. That's one thing that I've always noticed about Premier League, and I know they didn't play well for England, but for some reason Lampard was shipped out to the left and Gerrard was shipped out to the right. So, whoever was managing that side just had no clue what they were doing tactically. But yeah, I mean, I'm struggling, but it's going to have to be. I don't want to leave Gerrard out. I really don't, and I know it's painful to say that he was that good, but yeah, I'm going to have to go with Scholes and Lampard alongside Vieira. As evidence for why I went with a diamond, because I would have gone with Vieira, Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard. I would have gone with all of them and had Lampard playing a bit further forward. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think we've all got Vieira and Scholes, haven't we?
Yeah, and then me and Henry have gone with Lampard, so that just sort of that shows the majority. So, are you happy with that? Was a midfield of Vieira, Scholes, and Lampard?
Yeah, I think the balance there is perfect as well. You got the physicality and like the box-to-box ability of Vieira. He can even sit. You got Scholes who's going to keep possession. Then you got Lampard who's going to make runs off the other midfield and score goals. I think Lampard, he needs to be respected more. Is he like 5th all-time Premier League scorer? And he wasn't even like the most like naturally gifted, but what he had, he did the best with it, with his timing of his runs. His finishing so underrated. If you go like watch old seasons back, he scored goals from like 25 yards for fun. Imagine that would happen now; it'd be going viral. Last generation, I think they didn't get as much attention as this generation because of the social media era.
He's up there for me. He is up there with your Iniestas, your Xavis, as one of the best players in terms of central midfielders of all time. And that's a bold call, but I seriously, you look at the numbers that Xavi and Iniesta were putting in. You look at how good they were. I think Lampard would not look out of place in that Barcelona team genuinely. And I know you say he hasn't got sheer quality, but people don't realize how hard these guys worked on a kind of daily basis in terms of Iniesta and Xavi. I know they were technically amazing, but they were two of the fittest players you'll ever see in terms of, they ran the show against us at Wembley and in the Champions League final. I think it was Wembley anyway. Yeah, they ran the show. They took the piss out of a very good United side. And as Ferdinand's mentioned before, these guys could pull a centre half out to the halfway line, and the centre half would go, he wouldn't even know he's there. What the fuck am I doing? So they were that good. But Lampard would not look out of place in that side, and neither would Scholes, to be fair.
Well, just to consolidate everything, then I'll bring the team sheet up. So we've gone for Cech, Dennis Irwin, the left back at right back, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, Vieira, Scholes, and Lampard. Yet again, leave a comment below if you disagree with anything and who you'd put in. But we'll move forward to the front line. Then we'll start with the left wing. So Henry, are you going for a left winger?
I've gone for a bit of a different call. I've gone for a left winger on the right and a left winger on the left. So I've gone for Giggs. Again, longevity, quality. I know he's had issues with his with dating his brother's missus, which is just that's beyond me. But
He also battered his new bird as well, so that's a bit of a blotch on his record.
He probably did, but it's not. He hasn't been formally charged with anything yet. So, and he's denying everything. So, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, he had an affair with his brother's wife, which is just fucking hell. Jesus Christ, that's levels. But yeah, I mean, again, as a player, as a person, a knobhead, an asshole, but as a player, unbelievable. So I don't think I could leave him out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll debate it afterwards. But Waz, who are you going with?
On the left wing, because we're playing a 4-3-3, I've gone Thierry Henry on that left wing position. I think with Thierry Henry, what can you say? I don't even need to explain how good he was. But yeah, I think he got four golden boots. I think Alan Shearer got 3. And also on that left wing, his assist record was really good. I think he's got the combined assist record, because De Bruyne matched it last season. It's 20 in a season. So yeah, he had it all really.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I think Thierry Henry was natural out on the left as well. He did play down the middle, but especially towards the end, the latter parts of his career, he was more comfortable off the left. So he's definitely warranted putting him in on that left wing. And I think in terms of individual quality in the Premier League, I don't think anyone has come close to Thierry Henry, other than maybe Ronaldo. I think he just revolutionised the English game, really, didn't he? With his class and how he just oozed qualities. Like you say, his numbers speak for themselves. He didn't spend that long in England, and he's still one of the all-time top scorers, one of the all-time top assisters as well. I think Ryan Giggs is an all right shout. I don't think he had that quality that Thierry Henry had. Yes, he had the trophies and the sort of, what's the word, longevity. There you go. Too.
One of the most decorated players we'll ever see.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I went for him, because again, I watched something. Okay, I watched something between, I can't remember who it was. Roy Keane was doing an Arsenal combined 11 with someone else, and yes, that's right. And with United, and he literally said he just couldn't leave Giggs out because of work rate, quality, leadership, longevity. All of those things combined, and you've got one of the most decorated players we'll ever see in the Premier League. But I understand why you've gone Henry.
His number one is Giggs in assists. He's number 1 in the Premier League. Fabregas is second, and I think Rooney's third.
I think he's clear by almost 50, isn't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
He's definitely worth a shout. He's
Welsh, so he's overcome a lot of shit from from English people to. But yeah, I mean, you never see a Welsh guy that good. Again, I don't think.
No, but I think you can't overlook Thierry Henry. Any honourable mentions for that left wing that you're not going to include as a right winger?
Oh God, this is tough, to be fair. I
think Perez is up there.
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. But I'd say in terms of mentions of anyone who could come close, no. No one could even come close. And I know Chelsea fans might argue or City or whatever, but is there anyone else that could really have come close to?
I don't think there's anyone that could lace his boots, really. Purely because of who I'm going to say at right wing, I don't think there's anyone that I could suggest that
we all know who we're going to say at right wing.
There's no one that could really lace his boots. But yeah, we'll bring not that you need reminding, but we'll bring the team back up. So we've got Henry in that left wing's position. Again, if you disagree, let us know. But Henry, right winger, I think we all know who it's going to be. But what's out of misery? Yeah, Ronaldo.
And I know we talk about longevity, but this guy he will go down as probably second or third best, if not the best. I personally, in terms of trophies and leadership and the effect he has on teams when he goes into the side. If we could have him back at United, I'd do anything to get him back at United. If you want me to run over a man, I'd do it to get him back at United. So yeah, I mean, he is, in terms of leadership, he is that good, and
Mm.
the stats speak for themselves. I know we talk about Messi, but that little crying Argentinian bitch, he always goes anonymous when Barca are in the shit. Whereas every time Juventus or obviously Real Madrid have been in the shit, Ronaldo's pulled them out. And the first 2 games back from COVID, he scores 3 goals. So, yeah, you can't look any further than him. He is that good.
I think it just speaks volumes, doesn't it? He arrived in England from Portugal. You know, he didn't know the language. He didn't know much about the English game. He arrived as an 18-year-old. I think he left when he was 23, didn't he? So he was nowhere near the peak of his career. And in that time, he won the Ballon d'Or. He equaled the record for most goals in a single season in the Premier League from out wide as well. He never played centrally for United. He was always a winger. He combined that with assists as well. And from sort of 2006 to the end of 2009, he was easily levels ahead of anyone else in the Premier League. You know, he was the one player on the team sheet that struck fear into opponents' hearts more than anyone. And to stand out that much in the quality of side that we had, you know, this was a side with Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, Scholes. You know, it was absolutely littered with world-class names, and still none of them were anywhere close to Ronaldo, were they? You know, was you got anything else to add?
Yeah, Ronaldo. What can you say, man? He is the GOAT, isn't he? I think as well he got 2 Player of the Years at United in the Premier League as well. He held the record for most goals in a season. Only Salah beat it like a couple of years ago or a year ago, or whatever it was. Yeah, but Ronaldo, just the numbers speak for himself. Even when people talk about numbers, they say, "Oh, numbers," but he was chopping man up when he was 18, 19. Do you remember what he was doing? All that skill. He made Ashley Cole do the splits. He's just the GOAT, man. I could speak all day about that.
100%. So, you know, a very easy one. We'll bring the lineup back up. Ronaldo right wing, Thierry Henry left wing. What a lineup. Shout out for Waz in the comments from brother Benji. Thanks for contributing, mate. Good to see you. But we'll move on. From the easiest shout of the day to probably one of the most difficult. We're going striker, and we're coming to you, Henry. Good luck.
Right, I've left out Rooney here, and I've gone with Alan Shearer. And you know why? It's funny because as soon as I said Alan Shearer, Waz's expression changed straight away. He's going, fair enough. The guy was unbelievable. I think he's still the all-time Premier League top scorer, isn't he?
Yeah.
If I understand me, yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, he's comfortably ahead, isn't he?
Yeah. The only thing he didn't win was Champions Leagues, which is, you know, he kind of, and he didn't win a Premier League with Newcastle either. But the whole Champions League argument, he's been kind of, people have spoken to him about it, and he said he regrets not joining United because him at United. I mean, we would have won. We would have won the World Cup with him at United somehow.
Yeah,
he was that good. And I think people downplay him because he played for Newcastle. He played for a decent side, but a relatively average side, and made them look good. That's the reality of the situation with him. He never had world-class talent in, like, every player was never world-class in that Newcastle team. So, yeah, I mean, I can't overlook him, even with Rooney, and that's painful for me. But yeah.
Was anything different or anything to add?
Yeah, with Alan Shearer, I'm not gonna argue against it. He's an all-time Premier League top scorer. He did it at a Newcastle team where you got loads of average players throughout the years. They're like Babiaro and all them lot. And yeah, to be that consistent in a Newcastle side, that's not even creating chances. Imagine he's playing for current City or current Liverpool. He's hitting 40, 50 a season. Like
100%.
He was unbelievable, Shearer. So I'm not going to bring him down, no chance. But I have gone with Wayne Rooney, the second top scorer in Premier League history, the third most assists in Premier League history. He's won numerous titles. He broke the England record that held for 50 years. I think Wayne Rooney is the most underrated player. Him and Beckham are the most underrated players in Premier League history for me. Wayne Rooney is a street footballer that he had he had the mind of a professional. He was selfless, even when he was on Monday Night Football. And they said to him, why didn't you play striker more often? And you would have got more goals. Because when Ronaldo left, he played up front. He got 30 goals in that season up front. I think 2010, around that time. But he goes, I let Ronaldo play there as long as we won the trophies. I let him play there. So imagine you're breaking records and you're a selfless player. Like, if you think about it, that's ridiculous. And the goals he scored, the goal against Newcastle, the lob against Portsmouth in the FA Cup, the halfway line, he got more halfway line goals than we hot dinners. And yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. He's top.
I think there are the two incredible shouts there. I think Wayne Rooney definitely deserves more credit than he gets, because for most of his career, he was effectively an attacking midfielder, wasn't he? Yeah. He was what Roberto Firmino wants to be. He was that, defensive regista, false nine, centre-back striker that Liverpool fans want Firmino to be. He scored goals, he created goals. The numbers speak for himself. He was a complete player, wasn't he? He had an eye for a pass. He could hit it from 30 yards. He could score tap-ins, his positioning, his pace, his power. The only problem was he just peaked too early, didn't he?
Yeah.
If he wasn't as overplayed as he was when he was young, I think he could have possibly gone on to break Shearer's record. But I can't disagree with Shearer, though. I think you can't exclude the all-time scorer in the league. I think it's like excluding Messi from a La Liga all-time 11. It wouldn't happen, would it? I think while he may not have been the best player in the Premier League, he as a goal scorer, he goes without saying he's the best goal scorer, isn't he? To score 260 goals in the Premier League, it takes an incredible strike rate every single season. He did it with big injuries as well that came in to hamper him. So I'm going with Shearer, but the list could go on forever. But does anyone have any real honourable mentions?
Aguero. Yeah, Aguero, Drogba up there for sure.
100%. Aguero, Drogba. I think
Bergkamp, you could argue.
Bergkamp, he was in that Rooney role as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Van Nistelrooy.
And Nistelrooy, yes, 100%. I think if he'd have played longer, Suarez would have been up there just for his numbers. I understand he's a cannibal and a racist, but we can't take that into account when we're talking about
just the two.
Just the two, not much. He's an all right bloke, just a racist and a cannibal. But I think he's tied with Salah, isn't he, for that Premier League goal scoring record now with 32 in a season, and that was after missing the first 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
He was like Gerrard. Any player who almost dragged Liverpool to a title is worth some credit, because it's not an easy task, as we've seen. But the list goes on. I think Aguero deserves a shout. What was that? Sorry, Emery.
I said Van Persie.
Yeah, Van Persie. Yes, yeah, definitely.
Can't forget about that.
If only, I just wish.
Could I just add, for example, Calvert-Lewin is one of the best players in the Premier League in terms of strikers. He wouldn't last in that era. That era that just went is ridiculous. The players that were there, and also with centre backs, then they were often playing against 2 strikers as well. Now, you're playing against 1 striker more often than not.
You just watch Ferdinand bitch everyone. Ferdinand, no one is getting near that ball when Ferdinand's there.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I think there's got to be other honourable mentions as well. I think Michael Owen sort of deserves a shout. He won the Ballon d'Or at Liverpool. He's got a decent goal scoring record.
Also an absolute knob.
Yeah, proper boring as well. But the shouts for Robbie Fowler, I can't agree with. He's not up there. For the length of time he played in the Premier League, to have only scored, what was it, less than 150 goals, you can't be classed as a top class scorer. But Drogba, Aguero, Suarez, Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy. Sorry,
Andy Cole, I think, is the second.
Yes, Andy Cole. I forgot about him. Maybe Idaho Johnson. I remember he didn't spend long in the Premier League, but the time he did spend in there was incredible. Not going to throw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in there because not a chance. But for the final time, then we'll bring up our starting 11. So from front to back, we've got Cech, Dennis Irwin, John Terry, Ferdinand, Cole, Vieira, Scholes, Lampard, Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, and Alan Shearer. What an 11!
Can't argue with it. I don't think
Can't argue at all.
We'd love for people to, but I think
Absolutely, yeah.
for them. For sure.
Again, for the final time today, I sound like a broken record, but if you disagree with anything, do let us know. We'd love to hear what you've got to say. But
one person I wanted to just add in to I completely forgot about this person for central midfield, and his career was sadly kind of destroyed by injury. Owen Hargreaves, man, that guy, prime Owen Hargreaves. Again, all his teammates have said that he was one of the best players technically they'd ever seen. Just got completely destroyed by injuries, which is such a shame. But he has to be, for me, especially as that Champions League final against Chelsea.
Yeah,
the guy was just a world class player, and it's a massive shame. But sorry, carry on, James.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think there's other honourable mentions we forgot to mention as well. I think Jaap Stam is worth a mention at centre back. He was incredible. I think you can't overlook Fabregas in centre mid either. I think he deserves a shout. To have the amount of assists he's got, despite playing sort of in his prime away from the Premier League, it is incredible. What a player he was. But any others that you want to throw into the hat before we call it a day?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just talking about how the standard of the Premier League dipped compared to 10 years ago. Now, when we name defenders, we talk about Van Dijk, Laporte, and then we struggle after that. And we're bidding 80 million for Harry Maguire. Whereas there, we're talking about Campbell, Adams, Rio, Vidic, Terry, Carvalho, just endless. And even up front, look how much we struggled. Midfield, we struggle so much. I think a separate conversation is that players are declining compared to previous eras.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth a shout. But on that note, we'll sort of call it a day. Waz, massive thanks for joining us again. It's always a good show when you're on. Can't wait to have you on again. Thanks for coming on. And if you haven't, check out Waz's Twitter account. He does some really brilliant analysis on United players and sometimes other players as well. Always interesting when Waz tweets. So go and check him out. Henry, as always, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks everyone for watching. Any changes you'd make, keep saying it, but any changes you'd make, drop it in the comments section. And if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. We're sort of halfway towards 100, so if we can get there at some point, that would be amazing. So if you could help us out, then do. But without further ado, we'll call it a day. So again, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.